Touchdown, Alabama!
God damn it! Roll Tide! Woo!
This is Shutdown Fullback.
I'm Spencer Hall.
And I'm Jason Kirk.
I'm Spencer Basketball.
I'm Jason Basketball.
In important basketball news this week, let's talk ACC football.
North Carolina's football program was blown off the map by the NCAA, so now UNC students don't have to worry about football anymore.
Not that they did anyway, but for the next 2 years, it's going to be contracted out to Appalachian State.
Go Nears!
Moving on, in other important basketball news, Kansas.
Charlie Weiss said something this week, which is the only thing that's happened in Kansas football all year.
Yes, besides hiring Charlie Weiss. Oh, wasn't that fun? What he said was in response to a negative perception of Weiss's reputation nationally as a college football coach in the sporting news. What do people think of me? Like I'm some kind of ogre, he said. Some arrogant, obnoxious, loudmouth punk from New Jersey.
But that's not really all.
No. They left things out. For instance, they left out shitty college football coach.
Not many friends.
Yeah, kind of unpleasant.
Very wealthy?
Wealthy, yes. I should also mention, very good at taking checks and cashing them.
Further in basketball news, Gus Johnson won't be calling March Madness this year. You know what he is calling, though?
It's called the Big 12. Got
Big
themselves
12
a
football.
new TV deal.
In 3 decades, they'll be almost as rich as the Pac-12 was back in the current version of today.
Yes, keep in mind that the Big 12's new deal, $2.5 billion over 13 years, which works out to like $19.2 million, which is actually less than the Pac-12 is going to be getting with its new deal, and the SEC once it re-ups, and the Big Ten, and probably the Ohio Valley Conference once they get that human trafficking pipeline going.
Todd Graham to the OVC. It's a gun!
It must be time to talk about South Carolina.
South Carolina's Lieutenant Governor Ken Ard
Kennard
recently used state funds to travel from Columbia, South Carolina to the 2010 SEC Championship game, which imagine someone getting to the 2010 SEC Championship game with a little bit of funny business going on.
Science fiction, pure science fiction. But here's what we do know, that Lieutenant Governor Ken Ard took state funds to get from Columbia, South Carolina to Atlanta, Georgia on the SEC Championship weekend in 2010. How far did that get him, Jason Kirk?
How many state funds does South Carolina really have? I imagine it getting him, down to the perimeter perhaps. Maybe he had a nice meal at, say, the Cheesecake Factory.
Yeah,
He may still be roaming the streets somewhere.
That's it. So in other words, came here, ate at the Cheesecake Factory, slept outside, ran out of money. Pretty much the experience of any visitor to South Carolina who actually lives in South Carolina and returns there. So no real change.
The South Carolina-Georgia game this year is going to be a thriller, with the South Carolina team having to cross the border that the state of Georgia has now constructed to keep out all of these angry South Carolina residents.
Yeah, but
who still haven't noticed that their state's broke.
No real change. Go Cox.
Whoa. This isn't working. We need to try harder to make people give a about football. We need to step it up a notch. We need to get serious.
What we need to do is we need to let you know about a serious issue that you can help us raise awareness about.
This is so serious.
Very, very serious.
It's the #Saban2012 campaign.
To make people aware of one of history's greatest unknown tyrants.
Nick Saban, head coach of Alabama football, has been using invisible players throughout the offseason. In fact, his running back depth chart is so stocked with invisible players, he's slid Brent Callaway over to the linebacking side.
Who can do that? Someone who controls everything around them with the iron fist of a one-man nation. Someone who has so confused his ends for morals, he's lost all touch with what we consider reality. We hate injustice.
We hate real jobs.
We're just cool surfer dudes from Gulf Shore who want to make a difference.
The waters of Mobile are fantastic right now.
So if you click that Facebook link or use that Twitter hashtag, in 5, 10, maybe 15 years, who knows? Eventually something good will happen without us doing anything.
If not, we'll still be hitting the waves.
We like tax-free money! We actually do need to talk basketball.
And since we don't know anything about basketball, we're going to bring on our very own expert, our bracketnometrist, David Duffy Duff.
Okay, welcome.
What do you got for us, Duff?
You guys have pretty much duffed it so far up in here. I don't have much. I just got in here from the loony bin. I mean, this place I was hanging out with some chicks.
Jail.
Something like that. But it's been great. I'm feeling good. I've got the March Madness.
Hey, speaking of jail, let's talk a little bit about college sports.
You know what we heard?
What'd you hear?
Auburn basketball was cheating, which is awesome, and that's pretty fascinating.
Mm-hmm.
That's the biggest thing going on in college basketball, right?
They kind of duffed it. I'm going to have to go ahead and say, I mean, the center they've got in that team, I mean, have you seen that guy?
No, we haven't. We don't watch basketball. This is what leads to my next question. Vanderbilt, they're good at this.
They definitely duffed it.
Auburn is cheating.
Auburn is definitely cheating. They've duffed the whole thing.
Do you think John Calipari, by the way, is going to take this team to his first Final Four and beyond to the national title game?
I think Calipari's going to take him to Red Lobster, and I'm hoping I get the call, because I haven't eaten in like 3 days because Leroy took my lunch.
Do you think, by the way, also that Rick Pitino is going to really get it going at Louisville?
Can Rick Pitino build a lasting, long-term success?
Can he go past, say, a minute? Maybe less?
He's duffed it.
We keep talking about this tournament, which doesn't sound like a bowl game, really. I mean, I know the SEC title game. Auburn is cheating.
Yeah, Auburn's definitely duffed it. I mean, what is that? Is that
Nothing.
58 caliber?
Yeah, nothing. You were saying about Auburn cheating.
They've duffed it.
Speaking of dirty programs, Auburn.
Auburn, yeah.
They definitely duffed it.
If Auburn basketball tries to lose, doesn't that mean that Auburn has won?
I think it does. And I feel like I've been there a few times.
You've been to an Auburn basketball game?
No one's ever been to an Auburn basketball
You've
game.
seen Auburn play basketball?
That's where they picked me up. And
Unreliable.
Oh, you played for
witness.
Auburn basketball.
I played, yeah.
That's why he went to jail.
It wasn't jail.
The Murray State Racers. What do you think, big guy?
Duffed it.
Marquette versus BYU/Iona. I don't know any of those three teams.
Yeah, I'm gonna give it to the Oakland Athletics on this one. They will never duff it.
Memphis versus no one. Memphis. What?
What I was trying to say is, duffed it.
Touchdown, Alabama.
Roll Tide.
All tied.
Moving on, we do need to actually discuss college basketball, and by that I mean talk about 20-year-old movies about college basketball.
When you think of college basketball, you think of cheating. When you think of college basketball movies about cheating, you think of all college basketball movies, but especially Blue Chips.
You son of a bitches! You don't deserve a locker room!
I was gonna say Space Jam.
Those monsters, they didn't get that big by natural means.
Test scores were terrible. Anyway, Blue Chips,
The movie Blue Chips.
starring Nick Nolte. The movie, which is essentially the program, but minus steroids, the guy who played Latimer, and an appearance from Bo Schembechler, meaning it's a poor, faded version of an already mediocre football movie.
You son of a bitches! You don't deserve a locker room!
But you know what it does have? It has Nick Nolte, who's still alive to this day, despite what you may have inferred from photographs of Nick Nolte.
Remember, he's been taking human growth hormone for over 40 years, and it's done absolutely no harm. I've been taking GHB for 4 years. I've never been raped.
That fact was brought to you by Nicopedia.
Moving on, also in Blue Chips, we should know this. You know that it's a fictional conceit because the coach, disgusted with what he has become and what he has sacrificed morally to get the program to a competitive level, feels deep shame and regret.
A coach of a Los Angeles basketball team that used to be really good at the sport and wears powder blue stops cheating.
There's no way somebody like that could exist
Hollywood.
or be hired by Georgia a couple of years later.
You son of a bitches! You don't deserve a locker room!
Anyway, we should also mention this. When you look at Blue Chips, you think about the programs in college football that would be, I think, most college basketball like, especially if you're like us and you don't actually watch that much college basketball.
Since we don't know anything at all about college basketball, we're here to talk about which football programs remind us most of the Western University Dolphins. This one's obvious, but UCLA, because Nick Nolte opens the movie by threatening to take away the uniforms so he can watch the players play in their jockstraps.
He really just wants to watch them play in their jockstraps because he thinks they're aliens, because he thinks he's in Space Jam. Ohio State, Mostly because of the cheating, but also because there's a lot of dudes in football jerseys in the stands.
Auburn, because recruiting is completely ignored until the season's over, and then just all of a sudden here come all the players via cheating.
Temple, a little bit like Houston Nut, because the X's and O's are pretty simple, but moving around lamps and children and inspiring just makes things happen.
Nebraska, because the athletic director seems to be better at sports than the coach is.
Arizona State, all the players are listed as being 4 inches taller than they really are. I see you, Brock Osweiler.
Mississippi State, because at one point there's a recruiting violation via a tractor.
Georgia, multiple scenes of church-based recruiting going on because old dirty pastor don't sleep, yo.
Oklahoma State, because every point comes off a turnover.
Illinois, because in both sports, beating Indiana is a pretty big deal.
Oregon, their best player's named Neon.
Penn State, because you don't know who their head coach is in either sport.
The entire SEC, because Western University's hardest class is TV.
Finally, if Nick Nolte says he had sex with your mother, he may have, but it was probably actually your pickup truck, which he calls your mother.
We've seen your bracket, college basketball, and we're going to do you one better.
We're going to put it full of things we actually know about, care about, and are deeply passionate about.
Which means Nick Saban versus Nick Saban. Who you got?
Nick Saban's a tough opponent here, but if you put in Nick Saban against Nick Saban, I guarantee you one thing, Nick Saban's going to go down.
Coming out of the first round, he draws a tough matchup. Arkansas fans or WikiLeaks. Either way, he's going to be drowning in secret documents.
I really think Arkansas fans and WikiLeaks, that's a little redundant. I don't like the seating because they're the same thing.
On the other side of the bracket, Jake Locker versus Jake Locker. You know who I have advancing from that? I have Mel Kiper's Gleaming Erection.
Yeah, Mel Kiper's Gleaming Erection is a bold seed, a lot of strength, probably going to get to the Sweet 16 or Elite 8. Also, in this bracket,
Mark Richt's butt versus motor scooters. Emerging from that round, obviously, is the Athens Police Department.
Yeah, big winner here. Gravedigger versus Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter. I think this is a clear Gravedigger situation.
That's a strong 1 seed. 2007 Appalachian State versus 2007 Michigan. I don't even know why we're playing this game.
Sega Dreamcast versus it doesn't matter because Sega Dreamcast owns.
Mo Isom versus Chris Brown. Kick his fucking teeth in, Mo.
Ray Goff versus Revolving Door. I think we all know who wins here. Revolving Door. First round.
1971 Nebraska football versus this can of spicy nuts.
Upset alert! And finally, Beethoven the dog versus Beethoven the composer. I think you know who wins with a frail, tubercular German versus a giant killing machine bred only for the sweet taste of human blood. That's obviously Beethoven the German.
The thing college football people always have to talk about during March is how basketball's postseason is so superior to ours because they get to determine a champion.
I actually totally agree with them, Jason. I think they do have the superior postseason.
I was being sarcastic, Spencer.
Yeah, you were being sarcastic, but you're about to get shut down.
I will not be shut down.
You're about to get shut down.
College football does not need a playoff.
College football needs a playoff.
The bowl system is perfectly fine and an honored tradition.
The bowl system is a series of corrupt whores.
The regular season should be shortened to 2 weeks, so every game means a lot.
The regular season should be like a really big whorehouse.
The regular season already is a big whorehouse because everyone in college basketball cheats.
Everyone in college football cheats, hater.
Auburn cheats.
Alabama cheats. Everyone in college football cheats, hater.
Auburn cheats.
Alabama cheats.
Everyone cheats.
Your mom cheats.
Nick Nolte never cheats.
But arrested for counterfeiting in 1965.
Perfectly legitimate.